School board meeting here at the Robert J. Miller Commons at Wheaton North High School. Ms. Hutchison, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Blattner?
Here.
Mr. Derby?
Here.
Ms. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Mr. Paulson?
Here.
Mr. Rutledge?
Here.
Mr. Hamlin?
Here. Mr. Rutledge, will you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Dr. Schuler, communications from the host school. Would you introduce Mr. Korntoyer, please?
I would be happy to. It's my honor, privilege to introduce the principal of Wheaton North High School, Mr. Dan Korntoyer, who will give the report from our host school. Dan?
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, the senior leadership team, students, staff, and community members from District 200. My name is Dan Korntoyer. I am the proud principal of Wheaton North High School. We're happy to welcome you here tonight to share with you what it means to be a Falcon. The video we had running before the meeting and our talented singers are an introduction to some of the great things that happen here and why we say we are Falcons, we are proud, we are North. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce some of our staff to you. The first is my assistant, Mrs. Kristen McLear. Not sure where she's standing right now. Thanks to Kristen for helping make all the arrangements for this evening. Please also meet our assistant principals here tonight, Mr. Matt Fisher in the back. That can see them standing back there. Dr. Julie Pavlini, Mr. Eric Aster, and Mr. Joe Drover, along with our activities director, Melissa Nillis. Finally, before I introduce you to some of our students, I'd like to also introduce my wife, Stephanie. I think she's standing in the back. And our three girls, somewhere in the back. As you can imagine, Stephanie is the one that keeps us running through the late nights and the busy weeks and the schedule changes and making sure that we've picked up all the kids and they've gotten home. So none of this works without her. What it means to be a Falcon can best be seen by the people who are in this building every day. First off, our students, some of whom we're here tonight to welcome you. Our students are the reason we are here tonight and why we are in this profession. Our students at North inspire us and give us hope and optimism for the future. Our staff shows what it means to be a Falcon by their dedication to our community's future through their work as educators. They are the heartbeat of our school and the engine that drives the growth of our young people. I am proud to have them as colleagues, and our community is indebted to them for the work they do each and every day for each and every student. Engagement and relationships are the cornerstones of our work at Wheaton North. We believe positive working relationships between staff and students create engagement in the classroom and lead to outcomes of academic progress and social emotional growth. Our message to students is the same. At North, we encourage students to be engaged in their learning and the school community through participation in athletics, activities, and the fine and performing arts. When students are engaged during and after the school day, they develop meaningful relationships with their peers and staff and learn valuable skills that will help them have a brilliant future. Next, I'd like to introduce our three amazing ambassadors to the Board of Education, Luke Bellini, Carla Fonseca Gonzalez, and Abigail Williams, if you folks would come on up. They did a great job organizing things for tonight, so I'm going to turn this over to the three of them.
Good evening and welcome to Wheaton North. Hopefully you had a moment to see some of the videos that were playing before tonight's meeting. Those clips were some of our events this year, and it's so exciting to see the different things that our students are capable of and all of their accomplishments in one place. What's even better is that there are still many more exciting events this year. So you've had a preview of one of those events before the meeting. Our spring musical, The Sound of Music, will be running April 24th to the 26th. We hope to see you there.
Next, I would like to introduce you to our junior, Jane Rogers, and seniors Alex Karlovitz and Reagan Crossway. They'll be sharing what it means to be a Falcon with you.
Hi, my name is Jane. So when Luke asked me to come here today and talk about what I think it means to be a Falcon, The first thing that came to mind for me was the pride that people have in this school and being a part of the community that we have here. An example I have of this is I recently had knee surgery, and one of my nurses, she was asking me like sports, school, questions about my life. And when I mentioned that I go to Wheaton North, she got super excited. Turns out she also went to Wheaton North. And so we just ended up having a really good conversation about teachers I've had, classes I'm in, sports, anything. Even discovering that we've had some of the same teachers. So it was just a really good conversation, and I think it goes to show you, like, people are proud to go to Wheaton North, and they're proud to be a Falcon, and even after they graduate, while high school isn't everybody's favorite part of life, it's a place that people are proud of and love to talk about and share with the younger generation and just anyone that they notice goes here or has some connection to the school.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Karlovitz, a senior at Wheaton North High School. Today, I want to share with you the process that makes being a Falcon so special. There are three main groups that I think make up every school in the world. Those are the students, the teachers, and then the administration, like your deans, your counselors, and such. These are the driving forces that can make or break students and then their high school career. I believe that the dynamic between these groups at Wheaton North is the factor for so much success, dignity, and spirit. I picture the dynamic at Wheaton North as somewhat of a symphony orchestra. Like an orchestra, everybody needs to do their part. They need to be able to rely on each other, experience tough times, and then times of bliss, in order to finally create this beautiful product. Time and time again, I've seen true acts of dignity and empathy at our school, whether that's someone standing up for another student, a staff member providing guidance when we need it the most, even students coming together as a whole to pay acts of kindness, respect, or support. This school has provided me and my classmates with so many valuable lessons and knowledge. However, the aspect I'm most grateful for are the classmates that I've been given that have turned into my family. That's what Wheaton North is all about. No matter what team, club, or class you're in, if you're a Falcon, you're a family. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Reagan Crossway, and I am a senior here at Wheaton North. To me, being a Falcon means being part of an incredible community, rooted in solidarity and support for others. Being a member of the Wheaton North softball team and the speech team has helped me find my place. Through these activities, I have experienced firsthand the amazing people that make up the Falcon community. These people have helped me grow in more ways than I can count. And for that, I am grateful to be a Falcon.
Thank you, Jane, Alex, and Reagan, for sharing your experience at Wheaton North. Why don't we give them all a hand?
Okay, so now we want to say thank you for being the leaders of our school and our community. So Wheaton North students wrote you a thank you card to share how much we appreciate your dedication to District 200. So Mr. Corntoyer, Abby, and Luke will be passing those out shortly.
The next gift is a 3D printed Falcon keychain. Students in our vocational education program make these keychains to help with Mr. Gregolet maintain the filament and 3D printers. These Falcons are also used to show the students how 3D printers work and to spark creative ideas for other projects. This project is used to introduce students to 3D printing.
The next item we have was created by students in our interior design class. The different mini furniture pieces are used to help stage rooms and spaces to better understand design concepts. The furniture items are printed to scale and make it easier to manipulate and design rooms. Our pieces can be produced quickly, are less expensive, and they are easy to replace if they are broken.
Very cool. Brad, this should come in handy.
Next, we also have bubble wands, which were created in a joint effort by students in our geometry and child development classes. So the child development students helped our Falcon preschoolers think about different bubble wand ideas, and then the geometry students took those concepts and developed them into a creative, usable bubble wand. So they got to have fun testing out the wands, and then they gave them to their parents as a gift. And you will be receiving 3 different designs. So there's a Spider-Man, a flamingo, and a pepperoni pizza bubble wand. And each of them is an original student design.
Perfect, thank you. That's fantastic.
Next are our Northside Pride cards. These cards are given out by staff members to students who exhibit helpfulness and character. Students who receive a card can enter a monthly drawing for different rewards. These cards are used to highlight students who exhibit these traits that we value most at North.
The next item we have are Wheaton North poker chips. These chips are used to celebrate great things that students accomplish at Wheaton North. They are given to teams and individuals who qualify for state competitions and to students who are great Falcons each and every day. The Administrative Advisory Committee also awards a North chip to a student at each of their meetings. Department chairs select students who have demonstrated kindness, leadership, or a positive attitude. The students who receive these are great representatives of what it means to be a Falcon.
Last but not least, we also have a cupcake for you. So students in our Essentials program organized the sale of cupcakes today, and the money raised goes to giving these students community experience to help them generalize their skills. So they learn things like money management, deliveries, typing, and customer service skills through this project. And the cupcakes were a big success today, so we hope you enjoy them tonight as well. So thank you for allowing us to host this evening's board meeting, and once again, welcome to Wheaton North.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you for your thoughtful presentation, and I'll call them gifts. That's so cool. It's really neat. So thank you. Dr. Schuler, board members, are there any modifications to the agenda tonight? All right, hearing none, we're on to recognitions and achievement. Dr. Schuler, would you like to introduce those being recognized?
Absolutely. We have actually a number of celebrations to recognize for the board, and I think you actually saw some little insight in the communication from the host school of all the things that we're going to celebrate this evening. We're going to celebrate some students that have had tremendous academic achievement. We're going to celebrate some students that have had tremendous success in the arts, and we're going to celebrate a student who is a multi-time state champion in one of our activities, and then we're going to end our celebrations tonight with a few important community partner recognitions. So I'm going to actually bring Mr. Korntoyer back up to the podium to get us kicked off with our National Merit finalists.
So I should have mentioned the bag on your table is for you to put all the little things so you don't lose your miniature furniture, and there's a plastic Wheaton North cup in there as well because we wanted to fill your cup. Sorry, couldn't help it. All right, I won't do that again. Okay, would the National Merit finalists from Wheaton North and Wheaton Warrenville South please come on up? We are very excited to recognize and honor our National Merit Scholarship finalists tonight. Each year, over 1.3 million students from 12,000 schools nationwide compete to be named National Merit Scholars. In the fall of their junior year, these students took the PSAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. They are part of a select group of 15,000 students who qualify for recognition as National Merit Scholarship finalists based on their test scores and academic profile. Only 1% of students who take the PSAT and MSQT exam earn this recognition. So for us to have so many from one school district is really an amazing accomplishment. From Wheaton North, please welcome Reagan Crossway, who you heard from a moment ago. To my left from Wheaton North, Jack Nelson. Also to my left, Maddie Romaine. And right next to me, Jacob Valentino.
Good evening and welcome to Wheaton North again. My name is Lori Campos. I'm the principal, very proud principal of Wheaton Warrenville South, and I would like to introduce our National Merit finalist, Jack Mathis.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot that part. Go ahead and, if you would, shake the hands of the board members. While they do that, if the ILMEA All-State Musicians, if you could come on up, please. Okay, as you can see, we have a lot of talented musicians as well. Next, we have our ILMEA All-State Musicians. We are excited to have such a large group of talented musicians who qualified for the All-State Band, Orchestra, and Choir this year. These students go through a rigorous process of auditions and qualify for All-State based on the scores they receive. This group traveled with their teachers to Peoria at the end of January for a weekend of rehearsals and clinics, culminating in concerts on that Saturday. Congratulations to these amazing musicians. From Wheaton North, please recognize from our choir program, Natalie Diaz, one of our altos, Ellie Durbin, oh, sure, yep, please applaud. Ellie Durbin, soprano. And Luke Hafke, tenor. From our band program, Michael Shebar, jazz, alto, saxophone. And Matthew Hufford, who I don't believe was able to be here because he's at a music competition, playing jazz trumpet. From our orchestra program, Ellie Korntoyer playing violin. Ren Page, cello. Simon Clemmy, also violin. Oh, I'm sorry, Kate Peelers. I'm sorry, Kate's one of our sopranos in choir. I have them on one list and not the other. I'm sorry. Thanks for reminding me. Lucy Wiper, soprano. Did I get everybody? Okay. Thank you, ladies over here. All right. From Wheaton Warrenville South, Ms. Campos.
Thank you, and I would like to start by recognizing Pat Griffin at the end. Pat was actually one of 55 students to be selected for the Future Music Educator Seminar, and I actually got the pleasure of seeing Pat. He's conducted our band at Wheaton Warrenville South, and he's just a phenomenal future educator, so we're excited for that. And then Dahlia Volkart, who is actually supporting a sibling at a performance tonight, could not be here, but she actually was placed 11th in state for her viola. So congratulations to her. Congratulations. And at this time, I'd like to welcome up Austin Molisek to the... So as Dr. Schuler alluded to earlier, our esports team is a three-peat state champion. And funny fact that Coach Brennan told me that Austin wasn't even sure if he was going to compete, and then ended up being the state champion in Fortnite. So we want to congratulate him, and we're happy you did show up. So congratulations, Austin.
How about if we could, one more round of applause for all of our incredible students. We also have a couple of community partner recognitions this evening. This has become a feature regularly to each of our board meetings, and I'm going to start this evening by actually recognizing two community partners that we had scheduled to come in February. We're not able to for the weather, but we want to make sure that we invited them this evening. So it's my pleasure to recognize two of our community partners from the city of Wheaton, Susan Bischel and Mayor Phil Cease. If you guys wouldn't mind coming up to the podium for me. I see it in the middle there. So we recognize at each of our meetings community partners that have supported essential student programs, and both of these partners from the city of Wheaton have certainly done that. Susan has supported a student intern as a part of a social media marketing communications program. I've seen some of the videos that Roger created, I think, as part of internship experience, and such a valuable experience. And I should mention as well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Susan also, through a role as the public information officer for the city of Wheaton, is such an invaluable support to all of our efforts, especially around community safety, works really regularly with Alyssa in our communications department, and does a really incredible job. So thank you for your support of our student internship program. I'm also pleased to thank Mayor Phil Cease. Mayor Cease, I think from the early stages of our business incubator program, has been a regular volunteer, has supported the incubator program, certainly his coach mentor role, both actually at the high school level and at the middle school level. And again, I think we recognized or celebrated a couple meetings ago. We are north of, I think, 700 students now that have come through the business incubator program, and that program would not be possible without the tremendous army of community volunteers that support that. So we are so thankful for your time. I know Mr. Ian Smith is going to join us as well. I asked Mr. Smith to come. I think he had a quick conversation with at least one of our students kind of supported by this effort, and just wanted to kind of offer a thank you perspective from one of our students. So sure, Ian, absolutely. If you wouldn't mind.
Yep, this is from Roger Shorney. He couldn't be here. He was really sad he couldn't be here, but he did write some words for me to just read. So I'll read those tonight. And just want to say that when we started this program of internships, she was one of the first people that we reached out to, and within about 20 seconds of our conversation, I think you said, yeah, we'd love to have an intern. So we're thrilled to be able to place Roger there in the fall, and we hope to be able to do that in the future. As an intern at City Hall, I was able to see firsthand some possible career options and what working in media would be like. I gained experience in recording events for the city of Wheaton, behind-the-scenes information about the technology used to help local governments run, as well as experience with editing and filming videos. Susan was very kind and helpful throughout the internship, accommodating to my schedule and being willing to have me work in a variety of different areas in the communications department. Overall, it was a very positive experience that will help me decide what I want to pursue in the future. So, thank you.
So on behalf of the school district, again, thank you for being valued community partners. Ian's got a little thank you to recognize you for your opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. And Mr. Korntoyer.
Dr. Schuler and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to recognize a community partner at tonight's meeting. Mr. Jeff Crowley, would you please come up here? He doesn't know we're doing this. This is the best. Jeff lives and breathes Falcon Blue and Gold. For the last several years, he has served as the president of our booster club, the Falcon Wings. During this time, the Wings have contributed thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of volunteer service to Wheaton North's academic, athletic, and activity programs. As president, Jeff has led the effort to support projects and programs that have positively impacted Wheaton North students. Jeff has also been a mentor and a coach in our business incubator team for several years, working with teams of students over the course of a whole school year to develop and refine their businesses. He was also heavily involved at Monroe Middle School and Sandburg Elementary, serving as PTA president. Jeff, thank you for your dedication and commitment to Wheaton North students, staff, and our community. Thank you for always asking, what do you need? And then partnering with us to make it happen. We are grateful for your leadership and your friendship. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. We're on to public comment. Thank you for taking the time to share your feedback and thoughtful focus on our students, school district, and community. It's the board's practice not to directly discuss communication from the community until the context is understood and the information explored. It is not our intention to signal a lack of interest, and we appreciate your understanding. Depending on the number of people signed up to speak during public comment, Board Policy 2.230 enables the time per speaker to be reduced from 3 to 2 minutes, allowing more people to share their perspective. Tonight, we will not have to reduce the time for each speaker. To maintain confidentiality, the board asks that any matters concerning personnel or students be communicated to the board privately. When we meet, it's important that we treat each other with respect and kindness. We set an example for our schools and desire to honor that by being courteous in our public comments. Let us work together to lead with positive intent so that our democratic process reflects the best of our community. To help us follow up if needed, please include your name and if you're a resident of the district. To ensure everyone has a chance to speak, Ms. Kulovitz will raise her hand when 15 seconds remain as a reminder to wrap up your thoughts. At the end of our agreed time, I'll respectfully ask you to allow the next speaker to begin. Thank you for investing time to attend the board meeting tonight and share your thoughts and encouragement for our district. Our first speaker tonight is Aaron Perlman.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Perlman, and I appreciate you giving me the time to talk about what makes Wheaton North such a great place to work at. This is my 9th year here as a mathematics educator, as well as a freshman football and baseball coach. There are so many things that I could talk about that make Wheaton North the special place that it is. It's the experiences, it's the relationships, the interactions on a day-to-day basis. But tonight I'm going to focus on the idea of resilience. When you come into our classroom, specifically the freshman geometry classroom, the first time students see a challenging problem, the response is typically, I don't know where to go from here. But by the end of the year, they get to a point where as soon as you come over to try to help or just to see what's going on, it's stay the heck away from me. Give me 2 to 3 or more minutes here. Let me finish this because I enjoy the satisfaction of doing something difficult. What happens in between point A and point B is the development of resilience. It's about showing up and doing the work even when things are hard. It's about the attention to the detail, the intentionality, doing the right thing every single day. It's about humility. Our students are great at it. They're never afraid to turn and ask a peer for help. They're never afraid to come in early or stay late to work with a teacher, to come into math resource. It's what makes our students so great, is they understand how to embrace and how to work through adversity. Similarly, in the football field and on the baseball diamond, it's the same type of experience. Doing this for 9 years, I've been a part of a season where we start off a little slow and then we start to figure things out. I've been a part of a roller coaster season where it's a lot of lows and some very, very little highs, and everything in between. But one of the defining characteristic traits about these seasons, the things that I choose to remember, is not about the wins or losses, but how our players continue to show up and do those same types of things that we see in the classroom. Showing up when things are hard, working on the little details, getting better every single day, learning how to stay true to yourself, embracing those core values of being a great individual, a great teammate, staying together, being coachable. Those are the things that make our Falcons great. The thing about Wheaton North is that it's not just about what happens in the classroom. It's not just what happens on the football field or on the baseball diamond. It's about preparing them for life beyond Wheaton North, whether they choose to go into a trade school, the military, a four-year university, as we start to think about professionally what they're going to be doing in life, as well as just becoming a better father, husband, mother, wife, partner. We know that life is hard. There's no running from it. We all face adversity. You can run from it. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. But the thing I know about our students here is that they are resilient. They display it on a daily basis. I'm incredibly proud to be their teacher. I'm incredibly proud to work with our staff and our administration. And I'm very, very appreciative to support our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perlman. Our next speaker is Sally, and I can't read your last name. Maybe Gerkulis? Am I close?
Gergis.
Thank you.
It's Egyptian.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sally Gergis. I have 2 kids at Longfellow. Oops, what did I do? And one still at home. I am a member of and volunteer for the PTA. We now have lived in Wheaton for 4 years, and this is the first time I've ever addressed the Board of Education. I want to start by thanking you for your service to the community. Looking out for the welfare of the students is no small task, and I'm glad we share that goal. Today, I want to convince you that one-to-one laptops are not appropriate in the elementary schools of District 200. First, I'm going to ask you to sympathize with me. Sympathize with me as a parent who does not need another fight over laptop use at home. We all long for the days when kids would run outside after school rather than scroll on YouTube. Thanks to personal laptops, that ability to scroll is taught at schools and brought home in backpacks. Kids need books and they need time to play. They do not need laptops, and parents don't want them. Second, I want to make an ethical appeal because, yes, laptops pose an ethical dilemma. Studies show that giving laptops to children decreases their scores in lower-income families. How can a public school, this champion of democracy, give a device to a child who we know will be harmed by it? And for those in the more well-off communities, us, while their test scores may not suffer to the same extent, what about the overwhelming consensus regarding the negative impacts of screens and social media on children? What about their malleable, developing brains? Neil Postman warned back in the 70s and 80s about the dangers of raising kids on screens. The multitude of these negative effects has been convincingly updated by Jonathan Haidt in his 2024 book, The Anxious Generation, and has also been eloquently described by Dr. Pediatrician Leonard Sachs in his various books. There is consensus on this point. Kids need their noses in books. They also need to interact with their peers. Laptops decrease and damage both of these essential elements of childhood. Lastly, I aim to appeal to your brains. You are all smart, successful, educated people whose aim is to improve and take care of the students of District 200. How about a computer lab? How about allowing students who might not have computer access to check out laptops as they do library books? How about changing the standard and allowing tests to be taken at different times on the same day? Though this is anecdotal evidence, I think you should know that I have met several families who have either left the public schools or who refuse to even consider them because of the issuing of personal laptops. And I have never met one parent who supports one-to-one laptops, which admittedly may mean I need to increase my circle of friends. You must use your education and experience and come up with a better solution. You must find a way to test the kids without handing them a device which causes family fights, decreased scores, distraction, loneliness, addiction, and anxiety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mary Louise Hennesby. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you, Henjesbon. Hello, thank you so much for your service to the district. My name is Mary Louise Henjesbaugh. I have 2 kids at Longfellow and 1 at Franklin. Some of you might know me because I'm a member of the CAC, and this year I'm also Longfellow PTA president. But tonight I'm just speaking on my own behalf. I'd like to encourage you, actually just as Sally spoke, to have shared laptops for our elementary school students, utilizing mobile docking stations perhaps, or another solution as are used in some schools instead of one-to-one laptops. For my family, the one-to-one Chromebooks are a burden. My kids span a range of abilities. One had an IEP, is now on a 504, another's in PACE. But one thing they have in common is when they get home, they can't wait to get on that Chromebook. And they will stay on it until 6 or even 7 p.m. unless I intervene. And many of my mom friends say the same thing. When my intervention is taking it away or shutting off the Wi-Fi to the devices. But it's basically that time they should be studying or playing outside with friends, doing crafts, reading for fun. They are browsing online and often drinking in a lot of influences from the world. And so I do intervene. I limit their time on the Chromebooks, but for kids who don't have an adult to intervene, that's an even greater problem. And from experience, kids with special needs struggle with digital addiction more. For my child who had an IEP, if we inadvertently leave the Wi-Fi onto the computer and he can find it, he'll get on it. And this year it's been a little better. We've only had 2 mornings so far when I went into his room to wake him up for school, and he's been on the Chromebook all night. So that's better this year, because in previous years it's been more nights. So he's getting better. We're also trying to be more attentive. But it's not just terrible for him, it's not good for his school, because I don't want to reward him by letting him stay home. So I have him go to school, but then he's inattentive. And one of those days was a testing day. Then it makes the school look bad, because he's been on YouTube all night. I want to compliment Jason and your IT department, because I've never seen anything inappropriate like pornography or a chat room on the laptops that could expose my kids to serious danger. So I thank the IT department for the great filters. But the Chromebooks do create a wedge between parents and kids. And I know you want your students and parents to be close, because kids who have a strong relationship with their parent or another adult have more positive outcomes. So I know they're needed for testing, and for some families, the district laptop may be the only source of internet access. But these situations don't require a one-to-one at the elementary level. Schools can have half of the students test in the morning and half in the afternoon, or check out laptops for weekends or even over the summer. But the default of everyone K through 12 bringing home a Chromebook every night is causing harm to some kids and families, maybe even most of them. So thank you for listening and for all you do. Thank you.
All right, we are on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Schuler, any topics you'd like to report to the board at this time?
Yep, I'm going to actually start with our student ambassador report. So Wheaton, Warrenville, South. Who would like to start from South?
So I guess we're starting from North. So from the Performing Arts Department, Wheaton North Flight won Best Band Vocals Grand Champions, and our best performer, August Strutzel. And we also have a competition at Wheaton Warrenville South this weekend to look forward to. Our production, Silent Sky, has finished, and we will go to competition for that in the upcoming week. And as you guys saw, our Sound and Music preview. And on to speech, we have our state qualifier, Jacqueline Sheehan, who, among Carla Fonseca and Gonzalez, who won nationals, will go to continue the competition.
And then moving on to music. So we had the 8th grade band step up day, and then that was 213, and then the orchestra was 219, and then we had the band concert last week. And then also Model UN got to go to their conference in Chicago, and then our esports team got second place in the Duquesne conference, and then our chess team also qualified for state.
And from our athletics, we have lots of exciting news. Our cheerleading team, they won the Duquesne Conference. We had 4 wrestlers go to the state tournament. Our gymnastics team, which I believe is co-op with Wheaton South, they won regionals and sectionals, and they advanced to the state meet as a team. The swim team finished 2nd in conference. The 400-meter free relay team raced at state, and Austin Kirkman placed 22nd in the state. And also, spring sports have just began, and in our girls' indoor track, Maddie Romaine, who ran the 3,200 meters, and Emmy Smith in pole vaulting, and the 4x200 relay team have all set school records already. And our boys' indoor track competes at Huntley High School on Friday.
And then these are just pictures from the flight competition, and then cheerleading and the silent sky play that was going on, and then the swim team and speech team.
All right. So, it's been a while. We weren't here at the other meeting, so it's good to see you guys again. Thank you, North, for hosting. All right, so we have a lot to catch up on from South. So first off, our course selection for the 2025-2026 year has been wrapped up. So that's just when the freshmen, the sophomores, and the juniors choose their classes. I had a whole hype-up speech for Jack, but you guys covered it pretty well. But congratulations once again to Jack Mathis for being a National Merit Scholarship finalist on behalf of South, and then also all the other National Merit Scholarship finalists as well. We had the signing day for the boys and girls soccer, so that's where they officially commit to their respective colleges, which is extremely exciting for them, and also a sigh of relief to both them and their parents about the whole college process. And then we're also having more college visits by representatives from various institutions and universities from all across the country, so that's starting to ramp up again. We recently took our 5 Essentials survey, which is hosted by the University of Chicago, and that was taken by both students and staff to report on their well-being, their comfort, and their safety. We had our Student Leadership Award, which is an award given to a student by staff who demonstrates outstanding leadership qualities, and that was the senior Jack Ongstad. We just talked about this at another meeting about Business Inc., but we had our business incubator pitches, so they're product ideas that were made by student groups, and that was just recently. And then last but not least, at least from my end, we have our A-Team Awards from TCD, which were high achieving and notable students who participated in the TCD program.
All right, and then a busy 2 months in extracurriculars. Our speech team won 4th in state, so congratulations to them. We also had a bunch of individual events, and the list was too long to fit on the slide. So congrats to all of them. Classics and Esprit, our show choir programs, just finished our competition season. I'm going to hype us up a little bit because I'm a little biased. But Classics was able to be ranked 1st in the state, and we also won Grand Champions 2 times and Best Vocalist in 4 different competitions throughout the country. So very exciting for us. Our boys basketball team just got regional champs, and then our girls basketball team went to regionals as well. Our Flying Tigers team is heading to state, and then as we mentioned earlier, our esports team won conference champs. 3-peat, so very exciting. We also had our co-op swimmers qualify for state and compete there. Shout out to Austin Kirkman for getting 22nd in state. We just started spring tryouts, and we're hunkering down on getting those rosters out for softball and badminton and all that good stuff. And then we also had our girls gymnastics team just win sectionals.
All right. Yeah, it's been a crazy 2 months. Lots been going on, but we had our barn dance that was hosted by Senior Student Council, and that went on after a Varsity Boys senior night basketball game. We have Pickleball Madness being hosted by Executive Board Student Council They're going to be showing college basketball. Spectators get in free, so if you wanted to go and watch some pickleball or college basketball, feel free. There will also be Max, isn't it Italian Ice? Right? Yep. Yeah, Max is on exec board, so he's part of that as well. In addition to that, we had family fun night for our staff and families. Little shout out to our fashion show, as I was very lucky to be a part of it. The theme was Fashion Palooza, inspired by Lollapalooza. So much fun, loved it. We did have a couple technical difficulties, but we moved past it, it's okay. We had our variety show featuring dancers, singers, and so many more talented students. Esprit and Classics are hosting Choral Classic this weekend, a annual competition, and 19 show choir groups nationwide will be traveling to South to compete, and as well as our Poetry Out Loud state qualifier, Eliana Sheehan, which Poetry Out Loud is basically a competition for memorizing and performing a piece of poetry, so it's super cool that she got to go to state for that.
Awesome. Thank you for those updates. Just a couple of things to wrap up our report this evening. Number one, I see, Mr. Hanlon, you've got a plaque sitting next to you. I would want to recognize, congratulate the Board of Education. I know you were recently awarded the Board Governance Award this year, along with a few other school districts from DuPage County at their regional meeting. Congratulations. That's a reflection of the way you approach the work and the governance that you show, that the Illinois Association of School Boards recognize you. So thank you for that. And then finally, I want to make two special introductions as we get to your personnel report this evening. The board will be approving 2 new principals that will start with us next year. So first, I want to introduce Kira Quintero. I think Kira's probably in the back. There we are. Hey, Kira. Kira will be our principal at Lowell Elementary next year. She's coming to us from Carroll Stream School District's got a great elementary background, music education background, and we're so excited to welcome you to Lowell Elementary School in District 200. Also want to introduce, thank you. So I want to introduce Hugh Boger. Hugh is coming to us from Naperville 203, where he has served as an elementary principal, one of their elementary schools for a number of years. Also has tremendous elementary background, covering a number of roles from classroom teacher up through assistant principal before he found his way to 203. And certainly, Hugh, we're excited to have you join us at Pleasant Hill Elementary School next year. That's all.
All right, thank you. I love when our teachers show up to support our new principals. It's so exciting to see. That's awesome. So this is the part of the agenda where if you came for recognition, you want to go, it is time to head out. So have at it. Bye, guys. All right. We are on the consent agenda. I'm going to read these items, and they include acceptance of gift to Hawthorne Elementary School, approval of resolution to authorize transfer, repayable intra-fund loan from working cash to education fund, approval of the resolution to authorize transfer, repayable inter-fund loan from working cash fund to transportation fund, approval of our auditor, approval of Fortinet firewall upgrade, approval of bills payable and payroll, approval of minutes, February 8th, 2025, coffee with the board, February 12th, 2025, regular meeting, open and closed, February 26th, 2025, committee of the whole, open, and approval to destroy recordings of closed sessions prior to October 2023 as allowable by law. Approval of personnel report to include employment, resignation, retirement, and leave of absence of administrative, certified, classified, and non-union staff. Board, are there any items you'd like removed from the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. Dr. Schuler, any information?
No additional info.
Board, do you have any questions? Go ahead.
Comment, not question. Just with regarding the approval of the auditor, I just think it's of interest to call out to the community the fact that this is a cost savings to the district, and even with the escalator built in the cost over the 3 years, we will still be paying in year 3 less than we're paying for those services today. So it's, I think, a good win for the district and the board.
Thank you, Eric. Any other comments? All right, board, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Rutledge.
Second.
Second by Ms. Kulovitz. Ms. Hutchison, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. We're on to action items tonight. Our first, we have 3 action items on the agenda tonight. Our first one is approval of bids for the 2025 middle school capital projects, issuance 1. Dr. Schuler?
Yeah, so we're pleased to bring to the board tonight a recommendation for the first bid package associated with your middle school capital projects. I just want to call out to the board as a reminder. We've provided a couple of updates for the board as these plans were being developed at your most recent committee of the whole meeting. You got an overall budget scope update as well as a projected cost for this first bid issuance. This first bid issuance is for work that's taking place at Monroe this summer, along with some enabling work for some of the new addition projects. Pleased to share with the board, as you see in the bid results, that we got very favorable bid results from projected to actual bid results. We're definitely a couple $1 million below estimated costs. So again, this is a small chunk of the overall project, the first chunk, but it is a good first start in terms of our commitment to make sure that this work that's been approved by the community comes in on time and on or under budget. So Dr. O'Keefe, anything else you want to add to that?
As always, you did a great job. Thank you, Dr. Schuler. Just as a reminder for the board and the public, this work begins literally within 30 minutes after the last day of our school year this year, because we've got a very short window with a lot of work to get done this summer. And when you look at the overall projects, these costs, while they came in significantly below estimations, still only represent about 3% of what we're anticipating for the total budget. So we're being very cautious about how we move forward and look at additional future costs until we have some more knowns. The next round of bids that you will see, 2A, issuance 2A, will be out in April. Issuance 2B will be out in May. That'll be significant. That's all of your brand new spaces that are being built. And then 3, which will be out later this year, is all of your interior renovation work in the summers of 26, 27. As we move forward, we will continue to bring you updates on the budget, but today just didn't feel like the right time considering such a small amount this is compared to the greater project.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments?
Just a question. So embedded in the bid package is somewhat of a decision regarding the lighting, the skylight versus lighting tube decision. Yeah. Could you clarify a little bit of what went into that?
Yeah, so overall scope, kind of undeniable, the goal was to bring some natural light into classrooms that were buried at Monroe and don't have natural light. So we explored a couple of solutions as alternate bids. I think the skylighting solution 1, even in the alternate bids, they came in much closer than we expected, kind of the cost difference between the two. One genuinely does bring natural light into the classroom. The other does, but through a solar tube, which is kind of a different piece. So in the end, we felt better solution came in at a really favorable cost. And candidly, even bringing the natural light in, I think from Mr. Weisenberger's perspective, the skylighting is less holes you're cutting in your roof. And that's probably a good thing long term, in that the solar tube would have involved multiple cuts in the roof of each of the classrooms, and while we're confident in what would have happened through that work, that's just more cuts in your roof.
Yeah, the disparity between those are 4 solar tubes per room in 15 rooms, so 60 roof.
The element of the cost in both HVAC and electrical, can you explain what those parts are?
Yep, so for the mechanical side of things related to the skylights, we have some ductwork we're going to have to move around to make sure we can get the skylight into the right place it needs to be inside of each of those rooms. So that's where the mechanical cost comes from. And then we have to run some additional electrical, because each of those skylights will actually have an operating shade attached to it. So, and that's outside of the scope of what's above in the ceiling right now. There would have been some costs related to the solar tubes for electrical too. This is actually less than what the solar tube costs were, but the additional costs on the HVAC side, mechanical, is purely because we have to relocate a bunch of different ducts within each of those 15 rooms.
I like that conclusion.
Any other questions or comments, board?
No, I don't really have much to add other than I'm happy that we got off to a good start on the overall project, and probably even more happy to get natural light in those classrooms in Monroe. I've heard about that a lot. I have a neighbor who teaches in Monroe, and when she heard that we were going to be able to do that, she was pretty happy. So good start. I think that was a critical alternate for us to accept, and we're on the right side of the budget going into the rest of the project.
Thank you. All right, board, I need a motion and a second to award the bid submission for bid package number 1, including the base bid, alternate bid 1, and alternate bid 5 to Monarch Construction of Elk Grove Village, Illinois, in the amount of $2,645,100. Bid package number 2, including the base bid and alternate bid 1 to Helm Mechanical of Westmont, Illinois, in the amount of $671,500. And bid package 3, including the base bid, alternate bid 1, and alternate bid 5 to Meany Inc. of East Hazelcrest, Illinois, in the amount of $1,130,500 as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Paulson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rutledge. Ms. Hutchison, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Action item number 2 is approval of the 2025-2026 student fee schedule. Dr. Schuler?
Yeah, this item was reviewed by your Finance Committee at their last meeting. I think the Finance Committee spent considerable time reviewing fees and looking at a few different options. It kind of got to the proposal that's in front of you this evening. Dr. O'Keefe, any detail you want to add to it other than what's in the packet?
Just really the main feedback that came from the Finance Committee was compartmentalizing some of the fees related to consumables with workbooks for illustrative math, bookworms. The Finance Committee felt the more we spread out the schedule and the deeper the schedule gets, the more confusing it may very well be for our families and the public. So those specific dollar amounts in grades 1 through 5 were rolled into the registration fee, which is why the registration fees were changed. We have not asked the board to change registration fees. We just rolled new consumable workbooks where applicable into that specific area.
I think it's important to just call out as well in the 21-22 school year, the board made a significant reduction in fees. You cut fees at all levels in half, and we will now be bringing the elementary fee very close to where it was before the other 3 levels. The fee is still significantly below where it was. So we are still lower than we were in the 2020-2021 school year, even with some of the adjustments that have been proposed and reviewed by Finance.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Board, I need a motion and a second to approve the 2025-2026 student fee schedule as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Jerpy.
Second.
Second by Mr. Long. Ms. Hutchison, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Action item number 3 is to approval to post the tentative amended budget and set up the public hearing on the amended fiscal year 2025 budget. Dr. Schuler?
I'm going to hand this over to Dr. O'Keefe. The one little piece of context that I just want to mention, this was also reviewed by your Finance Committee. The board has really never had to do an amended budget, and part of that is because you have very good budgeting practices that are always in place within the district. The only reason we are doing this year is because you made a substantial bond sale, what we just actually approved with the board, tied to the referendum project. Since the budget was originally established last summer, passage of the referendum has brought significant revenue through bond sales, significant expenditure through those projects, and so we do need to do an amended budget this year. So, Dr. O'Keefe?
Doing such a great job. You can continue on with this, Dr. Schuler.
No, that's okay. No. I'll let you do it.
And really the big focus of the amendment is, if it was purely just revenues and we were not going to use those dollars until next budget year, that does not necessitate an amended budget. It's the expenses that you have related to all of your service partners that are in place doing your work for you. That's Perkins and Will and everybody through the consulting. So just a little bit of an amended budget calendar to give you an idea. We've got to follow the same exact process as we do with the regular budget. So that's the reason why this is being presented tonight, and I'll explain that here in just a second. But you saw your 5-year financials back at the end of January. We've been working on the amended budget since we knew this specific obligation bond was going to be out there and sold. That bond was actually out for bid specifically on March 3rd. We actually discussed it, so that happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. We discussed it with the Finance Committee that afternoon and what it meant from the amended budget perspective. Obviously, we're here tonight to talk through and ask for your permission to post the tentative amended budget. Specifically, your bond will be closing on March 25th. That's when all of the proceeds and all of the expenses related to that bond will be brought into the school and paid out to all of your partners that helped you with that process. And then we're bringing back at your May 8th meeting the approval for it. And the reason that we don't have this scheduled for April is because we don't have a 30-day time frame between tonight and your April meeting, nor do we have a 30-day time frame between April and May in those two meetings. So by law, we have to have this available to the public for 30 days, and this allows us to accomplish that by just stretching things out another month. So really the big stuff and where I'm going to focus tonight is what happened last week. So last Monday morning, 10 a.m., we're on a call with your municipal advisors at PMA, and they pull up this screen, which is what this picture is, and at 10 o'clock it refreshes, and all of a sudden a bunch of numbers show up, and you either cry or you celebrate. Well, we celebrated because the numbers were certainly advantageous to you. The final bid submission, and there are some big players in here, so you had a lot of East Coast activity desiring your bond sale and your investments in our communities for their own partnerships, for those that they sell bonds to. So JP Morgan Securities LLC was the lowest bid. The difference between the lowest bid and the second lowest bid is 2 1/1000ths of a point. It's tremendous how close this was. The overall difference between the low bid and the high bid is 6 basis points. So 0.6%. It's incredible for us. It's great news. What it turns out to be too is over projections about 50 basis points, so a 0.5% lower than what we had shared with the public in the past. What things look like will depend exactly what happens in the market. Obviously, there's a ton of news today about who's blaming who for what and how we're going to increase costs across the board for whatever specific reason. We're anticipating at this point that we would go out to market at about this time again next year. The purpose and the reason behind that is we're fairly confident that through all this work that's happening in the middle school capital projects, that we will use this specific money that you will receive on March 25th within about an 18-month window. Pretty tight window, considering the aggressive construction side of things, which will also open up conversations for us about interest earnings in the future. So just some real quick recaps. So the net proceeds to you was $76 million. Final maturity is January 15th of 2041. There's always a year delay, so we're in 2025. This is a 15-year bond, but the first payment doesn't start until next January. You do have a call provision, meaning on January 15th of 2034, for those of us that still may or may not be here, if interest rates are below what the interest rate is that are on these bonds, you will have the option to refinance those bonds. That's what the call premium allows for it. These are tax exempt. Another reason why they were highly sought after. Your underlying rating is still AA+ with S&P. PMA Securities served as your municipal advisor. Chapman & Cutler was specifically your bond counsel. And then your underwriter, the underwriter that bought the market, that bought your bids or your bonds, specifically is JP Morgan Securities again. So what does that mean from an amended budget perspective? Just a reminder of the types of funds that we have. All of this money is going directly in the capital funds. This is designated money that must be used on our middle school projects. They will be sitting in your capital projects fund until now and the last time that we have any money in there specific to the middle schools. Part of the amended budget, we certainly go through and look at some big picture numbers, but there's a lot of just quick hits that we take care of to make sure that we align with things that have happened in the first part of the year. I'm going to go through these quickly, but we readjusted tax collections based on actually what came in the fall last year. We looked at your interest earnings. We've actually had a better premium on interest earnings that we anticipated in the original budget. We made some amendments to that, amendments to state payments coming in from ISB for whether it be driver's ed, private facility, orphanage, other activities, made adjustments in O&M. Really, all of these are insignificant in terms of dollars, but there's things that we had the chance to correct, so we did. That gets into, and we looked at each one of these funds. So it's a very similar kind of message throughout. Little bit of a downside on tax collections compared to what we thought was going to be, an increase in earnings, and then some one-time off or minor adjustments made in the other areas. And certainly one of the big things that we focus on is interest earnings inside of your working cash. That's your piggy bank. That specifically you have about $32 million in there. That actually allows you to do what you already approved tonight in consent to do inter-fund loans from working cash into our other funds that we use to cover all of our operating costs in March, April, and really the first half of May until we get that first tax payment in May. So making these adjustments makes sense because we had the opportunity to do so. What does it mean? It means that we're actually projected now down. If you recall, the full budget that you approved last September was a projected deficit of $2.9 million in aggregate, not in the operating funds, in the operating funds, but that specific was for two reasons. One, the $2 million TIF 3 surplus payment that came from the city of Wheaton in fiscal year 24, that was in your bank account as of June 30th. We finally spent that money in our safety security update projects this summer, cameras, all of our key fob systems at each of the school districts. That was that project. That is now your remaining deficit here because that money was received revenue-wise in the prior fiscal year. The money that you specifically voucher to put up front and support the work ongoing with Perkins and Will in advance of the November ballot and the election will be a part of this refunded to you. That's technically $1.248 million was your aggregate spend up until the day prior to the election. With all that we have paid Perkins and Will and other consulting partners since then, you're at almost exactly a $3 million total dollar amount that will be paid back to you through these bond proceeds. So what we'll end up doing is the bond proceeds will come into 60. We will move the exact dollar amount of repayment, which you approved through resolution last August, and put that money back in O&M. Here's just a quick side-by-side on what the original budget and this amended budget looks like. That shows you the differences. And again, what we're projecting is not an operating deficit based on a structural basis. It's purely an operating deficit surrounded by the fact that you decided to spend money that had come in as a revenue in the prior fiscal year.
Board, any questions for Dr. Keith? Were you done, Brian?
I just kind of said this in advance, sorry.
No worries.
So yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
Two things. I just wanted to point out that the public hearing and approval of the budget May 8th, that's not our regular board meeting, that's our reorg board meeting. And so just wanted to point that out. And then secondly, this half a point that we came over the course of the loan, I didn't bring my notes from but I think it was around $3 million less in payments over the course of the loan compared to what was assumed.
To what's assumed, part of that, what we have to wait for to see where the market's at is what does that mean on the second issuance, because our original projections were first issuance in 25, second issuance in 27, but we're going to move the 27 issuance up to 26 just based on need, so that will alter things a bit. Yeah. But yes, if everything held as is and all projections were accurate using this information from your first sale, we're talking about a roughly $3 million aggregate reduction in what we projected the total outcome of the cost to be for both bond sales.
Okay, thank you.
Board, anything else? All right, hearing none. Board, I need a motion and a second to post the amended tentative budget for fiscal year 2025 and set the public hearing for said amended budget on Wednesday, May 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the School Service Center located at 130 West Park Avenue, Wheaton, Illinois, 60189 as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Long.
I don't mean to pick on you, but I think May 8th might be a Thursday.
It is.
Do we need
I
to read?
think did you say
It
Thursday?
says Wednesday. Okay.
It's
Just-
Thursday.
Should we reread this then?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to reread this, given that we had the day wrong. Board, I need a motion and a second to post the amended tentative budget for fiscal year 2025 and set the public hearing for said amended budget on Thursday, May 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the School Service Center located at 130 West Park Avenue, Wheaton, Illinois, 60189 as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Long.
Second.
Second by Mr. Paulson. Ms. Hutchison, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Under oral reports, we have one oral report tonight. The Franklin Middle School boundary discussion. Dr. Schuler.
Yeah, in your board members, in your packet or in your green folder, you have a packet of materials related to the proposed boundary change that we want to present this evening. This has been reviewed with two of your committees. We reviewed it with your HR policy committee because by policy, this is a board policy, our board responsibility upon our recommendation to you if any boundary adjustments need to be made. We also reviewed this with the facilities committee just to verify some capacity issues that obviously kind of underlie this recommendation. So by policy, we review annually for you enrollment and capacity at each of your buildings. We have not had a capacity issue really at any of our schools for I think the last 8 years, and so our boundary patterns have been very stable. It's actually the flip side of that I think has brought about this opportunity. And so back in 2012, the board at the time made a decision based on some capacity issues that were in play at the time to adjust boundaries for Franklin Middle School. That boundary adjustment, after studying a number of options, involved splitting off 3 portions of the Washington elementary feeder pattern from Franklin to Monroe. So it's the Gary Gardens area. It's identified in your packet, as well as 2 apartment complex areas that were moved from Franklin to Monroe. That was phased in at the time, meaning in the first year started with grade 6 students inside of those areas shifting over to Monroe, and then was phased in over 2 years so that students that were already in grade 7 or 8 had an opportunity to grandfather through Franklin and then move over. We have earlier this year, Dr. Craig and I had a meeting with a group of parents that inquired about the viability of that boundary change moving back now that we're at a little different enrollment pattern at Franklin. And so we took some time to really study that to verify the information that we have. We do feel very confident that this adjustment could be made philosophically. I think it's good to keep elementary feeder patterns together, so there was never an issue around I think or there was never a concern with the kind of the philosophical underpinning. I think if all students from an elementary school can transition together to a middle school, I think that's a good thing. We just really wanted to study it to make sure that in bringing this recommendation to you, that we're not bringing you something that in 4 or 5 years you found yourself again facing a capacity issue. And so we ran for you and provided for you a chart that just shows projected enrollment going out as far as the 2031 school year. That projected enrollment at Franklin for all students that will have transitioned back at some point would still put enrollment at Franklin at just over 600 students. Just for a reference point, when the boundary was shifted originally in 2012, that number at Franklin was actually over 700 students. So even with this boundary change, we see no challenge in the foreseeable future, looking out as far as we can, that would suggest that this is not a sustainable change. Spent a lot of time with Dr. Craig, with Mr. Bendis, and with Mrs. Hitteman at Monroe and at Franklin, really kind of looking at all aspects of this, making sure that we would obviously be well equipped to continue to provide the service at each of those middle schools that we want to continue to provide and feel confident in the fact that this is a recommendation we can bring to you. We're not bringing that to you to actually make that boundary choice tonight. We do think still, after sharing this with you publicly and having reviewed it at a couple of meetings, that we need to do some engagement around this in the community. And so we've planned and included in your packet a whole series of engagement activities that's going to start with some written communication that will go out as early as tonight, both to the Washington community. We've got a targeted letter that will go directly to families inside of this boundary area to make sure that they're fully aware of it. We've planned 2 different community forum events, one on March the 25th. That will be an in-person event at Washington Elementary School, and then we've planned one the next day on March the 26th in the middle of the day. That'll be a virtual forum to give families 2 different opportunities. I should share that Dr. Craig has started by making phone calls, especially to the transitioning 6th grade students next year, to make sure that families were fully aware of the fact that we were engaged in this study. And our plan, based on community feedback, would be to bring a recommendation to the board at your April 9th meeting. Certainly, there is some flexibility in the fact that you have a committee of the whole meeting on the 23rd, should any questions come up either at the community forum or perhaps at your April 9th meeting that would require any additional investigation or information that we could bring to you. Should note in the recommendation, we would recommend you phase the change in just as you did the original boundary change, meaning start with grade 6. Grade 7 and 8 students that are already attending Monroe, we would give those families the option of either continuing at Monroe through their 7th and 8th grade year or transitioning immediately over to Franklin should family choose to do that. We would provide transportation inside to both schools. So from the changed boundary area, we would still provide bus transportation both to Franklin and Monroe for the 2 years of the phased-in grandfather plan. We have not set a specific date by which we would ask 7th and 8th grade students to share with us a decision, but we have mapped out a process, and that's embedded in our communication, the date, if the board approves it, by which we would ask families to notify us. Again, there are 50 students total inside of the boundary area, 15 that will be in grade 6 next year. So again, not going to cause a major capacity issue at either of the buildings, kind of regardless of decision that parents were to make. I did provide for the board, just as I did the committees, the original memo that was provided by administration back in 2012 when the original decision was made. And again, I did that just for context so you could see the numbers that were being reviewed and discussed at that time, as well as the process outlined. We feel confident that this is the decision that can be made, and I think I fairly represent all of the administrators at the buildings in feeling like this would be a good decision right now at a time that we could do it. So happy to answer any questions that board members have, but just want to make sure you're aware of the fact that we have plenty of communication and engagement planned to make sure we have an opportunity to hear any feedback if there's anything that might be impacted by this boundary change that we're unaware of.
Board, any questions? Comments?
No question. I mean, the parents have asked for this. The idea of keeping the 5th graders with their classmates from Washington for the next 3 years is a positive thing. So look forward to hearing the feedback from the community. It sounds like a positive move.
We talked about all the things Dr. Schuler mentioned during the HR Policy Committee. The one thing I did want to add is I appreciate the sort of accelerated schedule that's been put together to implement this, because one of the priorities was making sure that the students were able to do the middle school step-up activities with the middle school that they were going to. And so I think that's an important transition, and appreciate the schedule to get them on track with that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Board committee reports. We had a facilities committee meeting on March 5th, and the notes are attached to the online agenda. Mr. Paulson, any additional comments?
I had my notes up here, but for some reason like accidentally hit the wrong button, so I can't see my notes. So I'm going to go on memory. Should be pretty easy. We talked about with middle schools, which we seemingly talk about every meeting, which is great. We did talk about the Franklin boundary, and then we had a little bit of a conversation about some of the other facilities in the district. You know, we, as stewards of the public assets, have to remember we have Woodland facility, we have the SSC, we have the transition center, which is really a leased arrangement. So we talked about some of those issues. We did talk about the fact that the maintenance team is relocating temporarily out from Monroe to make way for the theater addition there, and so that's really a temporary solution, certainly not ideal because of the location within the district and their need to get all the way up to the north side. So discuss a little bit the need to think big picture about what the right solution is for that group, as well as whether that's the right solution for all the stuff that we have at Woodland, which is way down in Warrenville. We talked about the SSC and some of the various challenges over the years, and then the transition center, and just wanted to get that into the conversation as we look forward to kind of other planning for future facilities improvements or adjustments once we get through the middle school program. So, John, anything?
No, we've got the focus on the middle schools now, and we have to remember that there are 17 or 19 other buildings that need our attention on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. Board, any questions?
Brad, can I ask? Oh, that's working either. Right, there we go. Can I ask, where is the temporary location for the Monroe maintenance facility?
Woodland.
Yeah, it's in Woodland. Yeah. So if you think about the need for the maintenance group to access all of our buildings, to be all the way on the very southwest side of the district and have to get all the way up here, it's very inefficient and costly.
Don't we rent some space near transition?
In the same building as transition, we have some indoor storage space that we've rented for the purpose of storing some vehicles and other things that we never had an opportunity to have inside. That won't change. We still have that, but there's not
no
the
space there that
not the kind of workspace that we would need. And I guess should mention that maintenance operating out of Woodland, we have occupied that space previously, so it's not brand new that our maintenance department has operated. I think for a while they had some services out of Woodland, some out of the facilities trailer behind Monroe, and then some indoor vehicle and equipment storage space at the transition center. So that won't change, but we still need a workplace, kind of a home base, and some office space for our full-time employees that are housed out of an office or a work area.
Thank you.
Given Mr. Rutledge's passion for the topic, I'm sure it came up, but is there any opportunity that we see for intergovernmental cooperation on facilities or O&M, either in terms of cohabitation or perhaps consolidating some of the services?
Yeah, we certainly hope. It's been a conversation that we've started to explore with both City of Wheaton and Park District that obviously have some shared use opportunities. So yeah, I think that's a fair question and something that we do want to look at, and again, understand the kind of the desire and the urgency to move this conversation. Politely, I just remind the board we've got $151 million worth of construction going at the middle schools, so let us continue to focus on that in the immediate, and I promise you this conversation will follow.
All right. We had a board finance committee meeting on March 3rd, and the meeting notes are attached to the online agenda. Mr. Long, any additional comments?
And there's not really a lot to add since all four items we discussed were part of what we talked: debt issuance, student fees, amended budget, and the audit RFP. I did, just want to comment on the audit RFP. We did kind of pressure test that a good bit, and it had already been done so by Dr. O'Keefe and Jordan Thorsk, because it was significantly lower, both in some of their hourly rates and the number of hours. But the firm, and I will botch the name, so they audit a number of our comparable districts, so they are well known, they are familiar, and we pressure tested what that cost would be, and are there upside escalators if they underestimated the hours, and
that's only in extreme circumstances. So we were pretty comfortable and happy with the results.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, our board HR policy committee met on March 3rd, and those notes are also attached the online agenda. Ms. Kulovitz, any additional information?
Yes, as mentioned, we talked about the Franklin boundary discussion, so I won't go into that again. We also did an update on the cell phone policy that we've been talking about, and really just an overview of the process thus far. Our student ambassadors, I know, got some input from some of their fellow students. Was also a survey done of staff, CAC Wheaton, and so the step we're at now is Dr. Schuler is reviewing some input with some of our building administrators to get their perspective, and so been pleased with all of the different avenues of feedback and appreciate everyone that's contributed to that.
Thank you. Any questions, board?
Are we going to still continue, I guess, at the same pace and trajectory for that in light of what's going on from a legislative standpoint, or is there any wait and see planned?
From my perspective, I think we're still planning to move at the same pace we're planning.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had a question today about this. So, wondering, are we going to pursue any survey of the parents in the district coming at our April meeting? Or is that something we're going to discuss at our April meeting?
I believe what we talked about in committee was that I would be bringing a recommendation to the board in April.
Any other questions, board? All right, reports from board members. And is there any other information the board members want to report? Wow. All right. We have 4 written reports.
Yeah, I would
Oh,
just
sorry,
comment.
John. I
I've
thought
had
you were
the
waving at me.
opportunity to attend the variety show at Hawthorne, and of course there was the bowling event recently, and so been a lot of great activity going on in the district.
Yeah, it's a great call at the bowl. That fundraising event was fantastic. It was really fun and well attended. Any other questions or comments? Sorry. Okay, we have 4 written reports. Our first report is the monthly financials report. The second is the Freedom of Information Act report. The third is the board communication log. And the fourth is the Citizens Advisory Committee log. We have one topic for future discussion, and that's the middle school capital projects update. Board, are there any additional topics that members want considered for future discussion? All right, hearing none. Our next regular meeting will be, for the board meeting, will be on April 9th, 2025 at 7 o'clock at Hubble Middle School. The next coffee with the board will be on April 12th, 2025, 9 o'clock in the morning at the School Service Center. And the next board committee of the whole meeting will be on April 23rd, 2025 at 7 o'clock at the School Service Center. We will be moving to closed session tonight, so board, I need a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session pursuant to the Illinois Opens Meeting Act Exemption 5 ILCS 120/2 Part C Part 1 and 5 ILCS 120/2 Part C Part 2. Anyone?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Paulson.
Second.
Second by Ms. Kulovitz. Ms. Hutchison, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes, we are adjourned to closed session, and action is not expected following the closed session. Thank you.